Everyone, Joshua Hinland here, and today I'm very excited to be streaming live just outside Atlanta, Georgia at the LEGO Masters Season 2 finale watch party hosted by Atlanta Brick Co. There are tons of awesome activities happening here today. You've got games, you've got build activities, there's Chick-fil-A food, so anything you could imagine, everything you want right here at the LEGO Masters finale watch party. And I'm also very excited to have the one and only Brian Saviano, Bricks O'Brien, joining me to co-host this stream. So I'll be live here on the scene, but Brian will be in the stream the whole time, keeping an eye on the chat. So what's going on, Brian?
A lot's going on in the world of LEGO and LEGO Masters. We're hitting the finale tonight. Many weeks of incredible builds, challenges, adversities. It all comes down to this. The three teams, I'm curious to see who takes the crown. We're going to find out tonight. And I'm curious to see what hard-hitting questions you're going to ask Mark and Steven, because these two guys, they pack a punch when it comes to LEGO Masters.
That's right. And speaking of questions, anyone watching this stream, if you have any questions as I'm chatting with Mark and Steven, or anyone else throughout the whole stream as we're showing you everything that's going on today, you can put those in chat, and Brian will keep an eye on that, and he'll just give me a heads up, and we'll make sure to get your questions in here as well throughout the stream today. So we want to get you involved and make sure that we get all of your excitement and your questions answered as well during the stream. So now that we've introduced everything going on here, I do want to bring in the special guest, the guests of honor really of the night. So you might recognize these two people. I don't know. Maybe you've seen them once or twice somewhere around. Mark and Steven from LEGO Masters. What's going on, guys?
How's it going, Josh? Good to see you.
How's it going, man? Long time no see.
Yes, for sure. It's so awesome watching you guys every week. We watch with our family at home every week. LEGO Masters has been very excited. I know Brian does the build challenges every week, so he's been playing along at home as well. Lots of exciting things going on. I'm sure you guys have heard lots of great stories. What's the kind of overall experience been like as you've talked with people who've watched the show so far?
Overall excitement, exuberance. It's I think people are inspired to see these crazy builds each week or with breaks. To see all this stuff is pretty awesome. So very, very good response.
I know you guys have gotten to some conventions as well while the show's been airing. So what have the kind of fan experiences, your interactions been like there?
Well, it's been a lot more autographs. I'm just going to say that. Many per convention. One notable difference, though, is whenever we go to conventions in the past, everyone wants to know about the build. Like, how many parts? How long did it take? Yada, yada, the usual questions. Now it's all about us, not the build. It's weird. It's completely swapped. So it's definitely a new experience, but one I think we'll enjoy.
Yeah, who cares about the builds anymore? I mean, when we can meet you two, Yeah. So as we lead up here in the last hour or two to the show, we want to do kind of a rundown through the past challenges. So I've got some notes and paper printed out here with each build that you did each episode. So we'll just start with the very first episode. This was the parade float challenge where you did your kind of Viking inspired build, which was super impressive. I love Vikings. I loved seeing this challenge. What a great start to the show. So leading up to that, before we get into the build itself, for the first challenge, what was kind of your thoughts going into that?
Yeah, well, we wanted to make a splash with our first build. And so we thought something that had like a dragon or a creature or some kind of beast would be pretty cool. But we also knew that there's a lot of other good builders in the room. We're not going to be the only dragon there, probably. So we wanted to put a twist on it. And we did the Viking world serpent, Jormungandr, and a Viking ship trying to escape from his watery wrath. So, yeah, that's what we started out with. Something big, something kind of savage, trying to make a name for ourselves, even if we're just on one episode. So.
What were some of your favorite kind of parts that you used in this build or techniques that you were able to include?
Well, obviously the standout was the motion, right? We had a lot of great motion. We had the rocking ship, which simulated a boat. We grew up on the Gulf of Mexico. We love being on the boat, on the water. So we wanted to replicate that just right. The mouth movement, it was tricky, but it turned out really good. And especially that water, though. The water, like the sculpting, not so much motion, but the sculpting. Great job, bro, here. But yeah, everything turned out so well. I really wouldn't change anything.
It was fantastic. Now, throughout all of these challenges, were you guys kind of looking at what the other contestants were doing, engaging, what their ideas were, kind of comparing yours as you built?
Yeah, definitely. As you're building, you want to take a little break to rest your eyes every couple minutes, and you're just kind of scanning the room, seeing what else is going on. There's a lot of fantastic builders in season 2. So we were like, wow, Dave and Richard's pizza slice looks amazing. Zach Owen's dragons are looking really cool with the motion. So it's like you're scanning the room, making sure you're not falling too far behind and you're keeping up the pace. So yeah, for sure.
Now, Steven, let's take a look at challenge number 2 here. This was the hero shot, which I think was also the exploding one, right?
Yep, this is the episode 2 of the hero shot, and yes, it did explode for sure. Here we want to do something wacky, strange. We went really out there with the plant monster as our character. We knew that we had to do something with plants, and we went to farms pretty quickly, and then the farm is taking over. Kind of had this old B-movie, horror, corny film, a cartoon almost vibe to it. The explosions turned out great, but maybe too great because they knocked over a fig. That was annoying, but you know what? I think we did fine with this one. It was a lot of work to build, hard to build, fragile, but
Wasn't our favorite, but
yeah, not our favorite. But all in all, I think we did a good job.
Did you guys come into the show knowing you would face challenges similar to, say, an explosion? Is that something you had thought about? Like, if a build has to explode, what kind of elements I'll include in there?
Yeah, this is actually one of the highlights from season 1 was the explosion challenge. So we kind of thought there's a pretty good chance we could see that kind of challenge again. This had a bit of a twist with the figure, but we did kind of carefully plan how that watermelon was built so that it would explode easily. And so in the slow motion capture of it, you can see everyone was carefully building their large sculptures so that they just absolutely fall apart as soon as something goes pop inside of them. So, yeah.
No, and it certainly makes for very entertaining TV. I think on Beyond the Brick, we really need to explode people's builds more often. If you guys have anything we can do that with, just let me know.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're not explosion certified or whatever. You know, we're not pyrotechnicians, but
We need certifications. It's YouTube.
Yeah, right? You know?
Okay, we'll move on to the third challenge then. This was the earthquake challenge. So you had to build a big tower here. Another tough challenge, maybe not your favorite.
this was not a favorite. A lot of volume in almost no time at all. 8 hours was ridiculously short, in my humble opinion. But our build, not very strong. You know, we had high hopes for it. We were, feeling good for most of the way through. But yeah, it was a lot harder than it looked. We'll just say that. But we stayed out of elimination. But yeah, not my favorite. Not gonna lie, I don't like that one. I don't like that one very much.
I'm noticing some of these early episodes, there were challenges you had to overcome.
Exactly. Early on, we were getting used to the format, all the pieces, the cameras in your face, it's very intense. And so we're basically a huge learning curve that you have to adapt to. And that we kind of faltered on some of these early builds. And it was only a little bit later when we finally found our footing and started getting things we were really proud of.
So when you face those challenges, especially kind of the mental challenges of not having enough time to build, or just feeling like you didn't live up to kind of the expectations that you had for yourselves in some of those challenges, would you guys kind of end the day having strategy sessions, or what was that like as you had to work through some of that?
Well, a lot of the planning, I would say, was done like on set right before the challenge. That was most of our planning, but we knew from the start, like it was after this episode, we knew we needed to change things up. So we need to up the fun factor, up the wow factor, up the color, up the element and the creativity, because we were sticking to a lot of our strengths in a number of ways, but we knew that wasn't enough. So we had to be light on our feet and adapt to the situation. And we figured that out. Yeah, we figured it out quickly, but just in time.
Awesome. And then we can move on to week 4 here. This one of my personal favorite builds from you guys, maybe my favorite build of the whole season so far. As a big Pirates fan, along with Vikings, you guys know we've interviewed you enough. I think our interests are in the similar wheelhouse here. So I think a lot of what you guys built was definitely of a lot of interest to me, as well as a lot of the people watching out there. But this was the hat runway challenge. So as you were thinking of ideas for hats, what kind of ideas did you run through before you landed on this?
Yes, so this hat was designed to fit the very specific size requirements for this challenge. They didn't really go over it in detail in the episode, but you had to be really wide and really tall. And one way we could achieve that pretty efficiently was to have that big pirate bicorn with the huge edges and the big top. So it fit perfectly for the size we were doing. We actually went a little bit larger to make sure that we would totally qualify. And it was also something we love pirates. I mean, we like historical, adventurous themes. And so this is a very natural fit for our vibe. So,
you two have always had exquisite taste in Lego themes. So then once you came up with kind of this layout for the hat, how'd you decide what decorations to put on the side?
Well, we had two sides. So we figured, let's just go with night and day. So we did a moon on one side and a sun on the other. There was a little bit of poetry in that because the sun side, as I was making those mosaics, sort of represented Mark. He's bright, he's vibrant, maybe a little harsh at times. So we went with that side for Mark. And the moon side, a little more serene, a little more methodical. I think that fit my side pretty well. But I have to say, this guy killed it on the runway. We decided to go with Mark's head because his head is just a hair smaller. So it's it's saved on parts a little bit along the way. But he killed it on that runway. He stole the show. I could not have done that. So kudos to you, bro.
I mean, there's more reasons than just the size of the head to go with you, Mark. I think
You gotta have the drama. You gotta have the flair. You gotta be born with it. That's what I was telling people. Yeah.
You either got it or you don't. We'll go on to week 5 then. Before we do that now, producer John is handing me a paper that we should check back in with Brian. So, Brian, do you have any questions, or what's the chat saying right now?
The chat right now is saying a lot of comments about how excited they are for tonight's finale, rooting for the both of the guys. So lots of excitement over here in the chat. One of the questions that really applies to all the Lego Masters, but I want to hear it from the two that you have here, Joshua. What did you do to practice or prepare for the competition?
Okay, so there's lots of excitement in the chat. Brian's reporting in, lots of people excited to see the finale tonight. And then one of the viewer questions was, how did you guys prepare for the competition? What kind of practice and stuff did you put in before everything started?
Yeah, we went over several of the more essential and some sort of advanced techniques before going in. They were mostly related to building and sculpting. So like the Lowell sphere in different sizes, different technical abilities. So basically how things connect, how they combine, and snot techniques. So we were just kind of refreshing, brushing up on some of the things we know, and so that we're ready to really put them into builds as efficiently as possible. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for checking in, Brian. We'll check back in a few minutes here after we run through some more of these challenges. And now we're on to episode 5, the floating challenge. And you guys went with kind of this floating gnome forest. Is this a build that you guys had done similar things in the past, or what was your approach to this?
Well, it was really fun to do this challenge. We had a lot of artistic freedom right off the bat. But for castle builders, traditionally castle builders, when you hear the word floating, you immediately think floating islands. So that was a go-to. In fact, Mark pushed that one harder than me, even though I'm more known to build these, because he's like, Steven, you're great at those. Let's build them. I'm like, it's such a cliche. I do them all the time. Like, no, we're doing it. I'm like, okay, we'll do it. And it turned out really good. It wasn't the only floating island. There was some drama there. With the help of Will, there was some drama.
Was this the start of the drama, or was there other stuff behind the scenes?
Definitely the start of some real drama. If there was copying, we decided to get it all out on the table and just tear at each other. It was fun, a little stress relieving too. But as far as the build is concerned, we did some great stuff. The trees turned out great. The hanging elements were fun and made it look alive. The story was charming.
It was 360. It looked perfect from every angle, even underneath and above. And that was what they were really looking for. So we got all the composition just right.
Yeah. And how difficult is it to build something that's floating? Did you have to really approach, the way it structures and the way that came together in different ways?
So we didn't struggle with it too much, mostly because we built right onto the brick. We didn't try and build it separately, then attach it or anything. So when you're putting a piece on each time, you can immediately know whether it's unbalanced or not. So it wasn't as difficult as I think some people thought it was going to be. That being said, it wasn't easy, just wasn't as hard as some of the other challenges that we'd faced. So in our feeling. So, yeah.
There you go. Well, that works well. We'll keep moving on then to episode 6. This episode had some fantastic moments. For anyone who remembers episode 6 watching, this was where you built the car and then had the demolition derby. So we'll start with your vehicle first. How did you decide kind of the theme and the genre to go with here?
Well, in this challenge, like the hats challenge, we were random drawn a color. Ours was gray. So we're like, holy cow, gray. That's not very exciting, is it? So eventually we came up with an idea to make this a combination of a Malaysia, a Cadillac, and like a Dodge Challenger, like a muscle car mixed with those big wings, those iconic looks. So we decided to go with something mean. We're gonna play the villain car. We're gonna be the nasty one. So we gave it skeletons, spikes, lights, slime, rust, everything we could to make this look as
big teeth on the front, glowing red headlights and stuff. Yeah, it was just kind of a savage looking car. So.
Yeah, we wanted to do everything we could to make it as intimidating as possible. Could have been stronger, but honestly, this is a real favorite of mine.
I'm noticing a trend here. The second half of the season, you got the drama that starts. Then you guys are the villains now. So it's kind of like things. You kind of bought into the personality on the show a little bit.
Exactly. We had the fangs and claws came out after the copying started, so we just had to go all in. So.
The actual demolition derby had the iconic moment with the car that flew off the table, which was, obviously unfortunate, but also hilarious at the same time. But as you guys were all watching that, what was the experience like?
Well, we were actually very happy about it, not because we wanted to see Caleb and Jacob go off the table, no, But we were glad because we were actually getting stuck a lot on the debris that was in the arena, like the tires and the boxes. They were tripping up our cars, and not enough destruction was going on. So we're like, hope this isn't a dud. As we're rolling through. Halfway through, they decided to crank up the power of the cars to give it some more destruction. Have more of that. And Caleb and Jacob weren't ready for that extra power, and they flew right off. Completely unscripted, totally genuine, and it was the funniest scene in this entire show. In fact, Lego Masters, period, I think. All that bonus is hilarious.
Yes. Awesome stuff. We'll check back in with Brian now. Thanks to producer John, who's doing a fantastic job just out of screen over here, helping keep everything going. So we've talked about a couple more challenges. Brian, what were your thoughts as you watched some of these episodes that we've been talking about?
I couldn't believe how much the ante was upped with every single challenge. The builds across all the different challenges and the builders week to week were very balanced in the sense that there was never like a bad build really from anybody. There's such an incredibly high bar of talent, and that really set a precedent for Mark and Steven. It wasn't a cakewalk, and they really had to bring their all, or at least that's what I think. There's actually somebody in the chat who is curious if they were holding back for the finale at all, because they maybe thought they were going to get there.
Okay, so if they were holding back, as in like waiting to bring out the full skill set for the finale episode. Okay, so there's a question in chat then. Yeah, were you guys holding back at all and just kind of waiting to bring out, some secret moves with the bricks, anything like that on the finale episode?
Not necessarily holding back, but just trying to survive until our skills could really come into play. Because we're really artistic, detailed, story-driven, and we really like the sculpting, but we're not really good at strength or technical challenges, and that was the dominating force of this season, was like, if we build something, can we throw it against the wall and will it survive? I was expecting that one to be next. So we were hoping that not only would we have more time, but also have a chance to really show how beautiful we could build something, not will it survive, so yeah.
No, and you had to kind of learn to work with maybe different types of building you guys weren't used to.
Yes, specifically on the strength factor, we had to worry about technique and motors, things we weren't normally accustomed to, and a lot more color than we were used to, which was fun. It paid off. I'm glad we got a chance to do that. But just like Mark said, we were really working our hardest to learn to adapt during the whole challenge. Once we got to the finale, okay, I think we got everything we need to really bring something to the table. So yeah.
Perfect. We'll keep those questions coming, everyone, and we'll check back in again soon. On to episode 7 now. This was the wind-powered challenge. Lots of fun builds on this challenge here. How concerned were you that the wind was just going to blow like the entire build away?
Pretty concerned. This is we've never ever tested any of our builds in the wind, especially wind that was strong enough to literally push you off the back of your feet. And so it was terrifying to face that kind of challenge, but it ended up working out pretty well. We built this just solid bricks, very aerodynamic, very different from a lot of the other windmills, and it got to 60. We did pretty good. So,
yeah, we were very proud of this one. We were going with a retro vibe, and we wanted to have a lot of other wind elements as well. Mark made a really cool turbine, which almost worked. The top was a little iffy. We had another fan. We had other elements. We had the grass was made of rubber elements, so it looked like it was blowing in the wind. We were very happy with it. It went to 60. It lasted pretty well, and this is one that I'm proud of.
I imagine, we were talking earlier about strength and how important that was on the show for the blades of the windmills. I'm sure that was very important. What types of elements did you sort of experiment with there as you landed on the final build?
Yeah, just a lot of technique, just basically making it really crude and bulletproof. And actually, I tried to build the blades and they weren't working, so I handed it right up to Steven and he did a great job. So we had to switch places a couple times during this build to really get the maximum build skill applied the right way.
That's awesome. And that's something I wanted to ask you guys about, was kind of how you divided up the build. So with each challenge, was there kind of this idea that one person would take one section of it and the other section, and then you just really stuck to that, or did you have to switch it up sometimes?
We compartmentalized a lot. So we know each other's strengths very, very well. And it wasn't hard at all to figure out, okay, Mark, you do this one, I'll do this one, we'll do these characters, you do this landscape. We were able to mix and match our abilities very easily. And that's one thing that happened here too. I was able to get that propeller working. The tower came together very nicely. Mark was working on other elements. You can kind of see where we were in different areas in some of these builds throughout the challenges. And I think that really played to our advantage.
Awesome stuff. Moving on to episode 8 now. We're getting closer to the finale here. This was the puppet. Such a really unique challenge. Very, very unique in both building and then having to perform. So what was your thought when you first kind of heard that this was going to be what you had to build?
This is a mind-blowing challenge for Lego, all right? Because it's supposed to be fabric. It's supposed to be very flexible. That is not the case at all. And so Steven loves puppets. So he was so pumped for this challenge. And we had a pretty fun idea with the dragon. We decided to work with our frenemies, Caleb and Jacob, kind of bring that toxicity to a head and combine with them. So this is a really hilariously fun challenge.
Yeah. This is probably my favorite challenge out of the entire thing. Yeah, like Mark said, I love puppets. Puppets are my absolute favorite thing outside of like Lego and maybe a few other elements. But man, this is a challenge I knew I had to win. A fun fact, I don't know if everybody knows this, but the guy who is voicing Billy Puppet, right? The puppet of Will Arnett, that was Steve Whitmire, the voice of Kermit the Frog. So yeah, we had Kermit the Frog on set while we were hanging out. And I was building a puppet and going to perform in a live event. And I'm like, okay, this is the closest I'm going to be to being on the Muppet Show. So I might as well win this one while I'm here. So
Really like one of your personal heroes right there in the studio.
exactly that, a personal hero of mine. It's very creative. It's very fun. And I'm so glad I won this one. This is like of all the challenges, this one I got to win. I could have gone home right there and would have been so happy. So.
That is fantastic work. Before we get to the episode 9 challenge, the last one before we are today, check back in with Brian now. What are the viewers saying out there, Brian?
They're just continuing to be excited about everything Lego Masters. They're seeing all the excitement that's going on behind you guys. They're very jealous. They wish they were there munching on some Chick-fil-A, but they're not. So they gotta tame themselves. But we have a couple more questions over here, specifically about the challenges as they ramp up toward the end here. There were a lot of gravity and engineering-based challenges. Was that something that they preferred, or did they maybe want to have more artistic challenges when it came to Lego Masters week after week?
One of the viewer questions then was about the types of challenges you preferred. Was it more the gravity kind of engineering challenges or the more artistic challenges that you found suited you guys better?
I think we our building skill set is much more suited to something that's more still and more artistic. But we did do pretty well on some of the more physical challenges. So we managed to apply what we do best in a way that worked for the show. So we were able to do a pretty good job in most of the challenges. Some of them obviously caught us by surprise, and broke down much quicker than we expected. But overall, I think, we do better at the artistic, still life stuff. So, yeah.
Perfect. Good to hear. And I know that we've got a few more challenges to work through. There's lots of people coming inside here. Do you guys have a few more minutes before I let you go?
I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We got a few more minutes to talk about stuff.
Awesome. Well, then let's move into episode 9 right now then. So this was Land and Sea. This was the one where you had to split up, which I'm sure made for a difficult challenge. What was that like as you didn't have the support of your brother on that challenge?
Well, we built fine on our own. There was no worry there. I'm sure we would have a great time. I knew Mark was going to build something nice. I knew I was going to build something great too. Mine was a little smaller, and Mark was very big. You can kind of see the differences of our building style. Yeah, I could have made my drop a little larger. There's some areas that could have changed, but the mashup at the end was really what tripped us up pretty bad. We were really thinking about, do we use the golden brick or not? I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty there, but in the end, it was okay. We just made it. We just made it. That's hard to say for right in the center. We just dodged a serious bullet there. But generally speaking, it is what it is. We had no other choice but to build something like that. It was a lot of random draw. So.
How did that work as you guys were like going to the brick pick? Did you ever glimpse what the other person was building? Were there any secret signals, anything like that, somehow that you could kind of communicate ideas at all?
Yeah, we had strict instructions not to go into the brick pit at the same time, and we couldn't obviously go to the other side where the other team member was working. But I mean, they didn't stop you from walking over to that side of the room. You could see over there a little bit what they were building, and so I could see Steven was working with yellow. I'm like, that's a good sign. I'm also building with yellow and orange, and then Steven was also whistling pretty loud. They said no talking, but Steven was whistling to himself seemingly, but he was also giving off a very cheerful vibe. So I knew that. I'm like, whatever he's doing, he's probably having a good time. So it was a little bit of a secret message, but one that I barely understood.
Yeah. It almost worked, but I'm like, you know what? I'm doing good over here. I don't know how he's doing over there, so I'm just gonna start whistling. I whistle every sort of 80s song I can remember, the good vibes sort of song. So I'm like, yeah, don't worry, be happy. I'm whistling that and stuff, and he's over there building. I'm like, there's no way he's gonna get the message, but we'll see. But yeah, there was just a slight subtle thing to let him know I was doing okay. So yeah.
throughout the challenges on the show as brothers, did you guys find you had that kind of like deeper level of communication and connection where you could work easier with each other because you more understood what the other one might be thinking or doing?
Yeah, I think that definitely comes into play with a team-focused contest like this. Me and Steven are very close brothers. We've been ever since. I mean, we're only 20 months apart, so not twins, but pretty close brothers. The closer the team, the stronger the team, and I think that kind of reflects it in that in the finale, there's 3 brother teams, and brothers are a very close relationship in general, like for family units. So it kind of shows, you know. He's like the closer your relationship, the better you do. So.
That explains all the success of Beyond the Brick as well.
Exactly. Brother teams. They're unstoppable. Look at you guys. So, yeah.
Producer John doing a great job over here. But we'll move on to episode 10 here then. So this is Flip My Block. You had to do the house-related build. I think this one had some challenges for you guys as well. I remember watching that. So what types of moving elements were you guys kind of hoping to include in this as the challenge went on?
Well, there was a lot we could do. They said it was a minimum of 4 movements. That was our minimum number. So we thought, okay, let's do a haunted house. Like that's exciting. It's colorful. It's fun. But we felt like it wasn't enough. So we added some rock and roll to the mix. And I think it really paid off. This was a really elaborate build. It's much larger in person. The camera makes it look a little small, but yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. Very stressful at first, though. We were getting hooked up with a bunch of motion that didn't work. But by the time we were done, we were very, very happy.
Yeah, it turned out good in the end, but we were very stressed at the beginning and middle stages of this build. We're like, we are not even going to get done, let alone, have a nice build. And it turned out good. And this is our last opportunity to use the golden brick. So we used that and we were safe and nobody went home, but we were fine with that. We're like, hey, we get to see our friends for another week. So it ended up good, but wasn't our favorite build. I would say it wasn't our favorite building process.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But it was a good build. In the end, it was good. Yeah. So we were happy.
Awesome. Before we get to the castle challenge from the previous week here, Brian, any other questions before we go to this final challenge?
Yeah. So after the many weeks of building on Lego Masters, being under the pressure of the clock, at any point during or maybe after the Lego Masters experience, was there ever burnout from the brick?
So this is a good question from the viewers. Did you guys ever experience burnout after going through challenge after challenge on the show, having that clock, really stressing you out at moments? Did you guys just need to take a long break, or did it invigorate you to keep building?
So we are actually pretty used to building consistently for a long period of time, especially before a convention if your build isn't done, stuff like that.
Yes, but all the A-falls know that feeling.
Yeah, the convention crunch. But at the same time, this is a little bit longer and more intense than we're used to for sure, because you're building, it's not week by week, it's back-to-back days. You're doing more than one episode a week. And so you're building, you're tired, long days, and it's tough. And so we were feeling extreme burnout throughout, especially later into the season. And that's why Bernie the Burnt Out Dragon, we're trying to infuse some of our burnt out exhaustion into this puppet. And that, so stuff like that, we're trying to we are crazy tired, but we're still pushing through, trying to do the best job we can.
That was like a deeply psychological build for you at that point.
Exactly. It was literally almost a stress relief. It was he's more burned out than we are. We're good, Yeah.
Well, then let's dive into episode 11 here. You guys, known as the Castle Bros, known for your we've featured many castle builds from them on Beyond the Brick over the years. You should check those out if you haven't, because they're really impressive. So when they announced Castle, when you first heard that, how excited were you?
We were ecstatic. We were finally in something, our total element, our theme. This is what we grew up on. And Castle that was something the breath of fresh air. We were really happy to see it. Maybe too much of a breath of fresh air, because this guy started bragging about this whole Castle Bros title to some of the producers for fun. And it wasn't even a few minutes before they picked up on that and we're rolling with this Castle Bros thing. Will got the idea, and then the title was on the line, next thing you know. But about the build, frankly, I think it was good. We were very tired and stressed out and cold and working really hard. We were at one of our most tired. I can't remember the last time I was that tired was during this challenge. But you know what? It was okay. I think it looked really good. We had a lot of fun colors. And it turned out as it is.
Yeah. So did you guys ever consider, or as you were strategizing for this build, did you consider going for the furthest out build that Zach and Wayne ended up winning? Or was your goal all along just go for that really solid castle build?
Yeah, so we were actually weighing that heavily in our minds. Even midway through the build, we're we could totally extend our castle bridge area to be farther out And I was pretty confident that we could make it to at least Caleb and Jacob, maybe even close to Zach and Wayne. At the same time, all they would have to do then is add one more foot to theirs. So we knew that we probably should really stick to our guns and just build a castle that's good enough to get by. We probably aren't going to win this kind of physical strength-based challenge, even though we were pretty happy with the strength of our castle. We didn't overextend ourselves, and it just paid off. So.
Yeah, but it's not like we were trying to cut corners. It's not like we were trying to do a cheap build or whatever. We knew we had to bring something really special to the table. But when you get that far and there's so much at stake, you really need to remember where, like, you're not cutting corners, but you have to prioritize. And we need to play to your strengths in a situation that could be very, very, like, unknown. Like, there's a lot we weren't expecting in a challenge like this. But we knew we had to stick to what we could guarantee was going to hold up very well.
They had lots of cameras embedded in the base of these cliff sides, and they were expecting castles to fall. So we're like, dude, our castle cannot fall. We no longer have the golden brick. We're going to be toast if it does. So we were, I think, being a little bit careful, like 10% careful versus like going full out. So yeah.
Now, will we see a future competition in the future to maybe regain that Castle Bros crown? Will we maybe see something at a convention? The people want to see this.
So this has actually come up a number of times from different interviewers over the last couple of weeks. Is there going to be a round 2? We're thinking maybe, like, the opportunity isn't really there, but we'll see.
We don't plan on it, but if it were to come up, we would definitely give Caleb and Jacob a run for their new title.
Caleb and Jacob, I'm looking at you guys.
The people are here for the drama. At least that's why I'm here. The builds are okay.
No one cares about the builds. Nobody cares about the builds. It's all the drama. It's all the yelling and stuff.
So I believe that's the end of the episodes here. So that takes us to tonight and this fantastic gathering. There's so many people that have gathered behind us here. I think they're enjoying their food right now. But to explain to everyone watching at home right now, kind of some of what people can experience at the finale party here.
Yes, so we invited a bunch of regular customers to the Atlanta Brick Co. and friends of ours, family of ours, and so coworkers. And so there's just a huge gathering of our friends here, and we're really excited to all watch it on a big screen and a huge theater-like experience at this church. So we're just going to have a blast. There's Chick-fil-A catering, can't get better than that. A lot of cool builds that we've made for the show and inspired by the show. So there's just a lot to see and do. There's a building section. There's video game stations. It's just a blast. It's almost like a tiny mini convention. So it's really fun.
Awesome stuff. It's very exciting here. Before I let you guys go, Brian, any last thoughts for Mark and Steven here? Any last viewer thoughts?
Well, again, people are super excited about what happens tonight. They're on the edge of their seats, and they obviously built all these weeks and all these incredible creations, but the people are always curious about what happens next. So are there any mocks in the works? Is there any spicy competitions we may not know about? What are the guys working on now?
So people want to know what you have planned for the future. What are you working on right now? Mocks, competitions, anything like that?
Well, good question. We have something planned for Brick World 2022. That's something in the works, something like really, really special. Something, maybe get a trophy or two while we're there, hopefully.
But magnum opus, as it were. Like we've reached a pretty good spot here getting the finale. Maybe we can build something really cool to display at a show too.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do with that. As far as other projects, I wrote a book. We're doing other fun stuff on our websites. Just sky's the limit, really.
Awesome. And we'll actually see that book and some other stuff later on here as we walk around the hall a little bit. But you guys have been very generous with your time here, so I'll let you both get on with the rest of the event. Thank you so much, Mark. Absolutely. Can't wait to see you guys tonight as we're watching the rest of this. Have a great evening. I'll talk to you later. Thank you, Brian, as well, for helping feed all of the questions to us here. What are you hoping to see on this finale episode tonight? Anything that you're hoping that the contestants bring to us?
I really want to see color. I want to see the enthusiasm. I want to see everything on the table and on the line, because this is the finale. It all comes down to this, and these competitors are fierce. They've worked all these weeks. The exhaustion levels are at the all-time high. Anything they have left in the tank, we got to see it on the table. So just seeing these skilled builders give every last thing that they got is more than enough to keep me satisfied. So I'm very excited to see where it all pans out from here.
That's for sure. So now our goal is John and I are going to walk around and show a little bit more of kind of the displays and setups of this event here. So I think John will take his phone here and we'll pull that up on StreamYard for everybody watching. And while I'm away, Brian, you can.
Well, we cannot hear Joshua at this point. He is mute. He needs to re-enter.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
There it is. Hey, look at that.
Okay.
Shout out to John.
So we moved to mobile cam, and I can't hear you anymore, Brian. So we're gonna go ahead and just walk on over here and check out the
You don't need to hear me anyways.
So they've got these banners all over the place. They have just like so a lot of this, as I mentioned at the very beginning, is sponsored by, put on by Atlanta Britco. They have tons of Lego related stuff in their store, so they hold a lot of that out to show here. So we'll walk through this area. On the left side here, there's actually kind of a Lego mosaic type stuff going on. So they're building different sections and then that'll spell out Lego at the end of it all. You can see some fantastic builders here. How's it going? Hey, man, great time? Awesome. Good to see you. Over here we've got photo areas. This is the Nexo Nights photo booth. We were just talking about Castle and how big Castle, James, Mark, and Steven are. So lots of excitement there. We've got the Nexo Knight himself standing here. I love some of the old Lego Castle theme memorabilia that we've got down here. And a shout out to some of those more vintage themes as well. This table here is probably my favorite at the whole event. So these are replicas of builds from the different seasons of Lego Masters. So let's come back to the boat you were showing here. So people will probably remember that Amy was holding this build as she was kind of judging, introducing herself on the Castle Challenge. So here you can see a replica of that build. There's mostly Lego elements. Looks like there's a little bit of string fuse there. Okay, we'll keep moving then. Since I've been told by producer, just keep looking at the builds here. So you've got some more replicas from different challenges on the show. Here's some of recreations. You can see the Gnome Carpenter. Here's some of the ring that was built there. There we go. And then over here, more of the photo wall as well. And then we'll just walk to the very end. So this is the red carpet event with the famous red Lego brick. Of course, you've got to have that to welcome people in with the balloon arch here as everyone walks into the event. So a fantastic welcome as you come in here and check everything out. We'll move back over then to the stream studio. Hopefully you can hear me. Producer John, how is it? Yeah. It's in and out. Okay, well, a little bit. There's a away departure.
They're trying here, everyone. They're trying.
The legendary Chris Giddens.
For Zoom the legend.
Okay.
How can you hear me, Brian?
Yes, now we can hear you crystal clear.
Okay.
You're not undersea or in a tin can anymore.
So I'm not sure. How did the audio come through on the phone?
Absolutely horrific. It was the worst audio quality I've literally ever heard on a Beyond. Me pointing my TV like in the camera and all that, that was better audio quality than that. But the people saw what you were showing off. I can tell that there's good vibes. You know, it's good stuff.
That's right. Yeah. So there's all these replicas of builds from. There was even some stuff. I know we had to keep moving pretty quickly because the audio was a struggle there. But there's even some stuff from replicas from Tyler on season 1, and then a bunch of stuff from season 2 here. So they've really gone all out in trying to bring as many things to display and do here as possible. And we haven't even mentioned there's actually a couple of video games set up in the other room where we'll be doing the watch party. So there's Mark and Steven's favorite game. I think it's called Brawlhalla. I had never heard of that before. Have you heard of that, Brian?
I have. It's a very fun brawling game. It's good.
Okay. Yeah, so that's apparently their favorite video game. So that's set up in the other room for people to play. They also have Mario Kart on a Wii, which I haven't seen a Wii set up anywhere in years, people playing on it. So they even got some, old Nintendo stuff set up in there as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. They clearly have some good taste. And I mean, it looks electric over there. It feels like a mix between a Lego Masters celebration party and kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese sort of vibe. So they got some good energy. I love it.
Yeah, I like the Chuck E. Cheese vibe is a good way to describe it here. You've got food, you've got games, you've got fun. Now, Brian, I know you've been not only watching Lego Masters, but you've actually been doing some of these challenges yourself with Nick, right? So why don't you tell people kind of a little bit about that and how that's been going for you?
Yeah, so Nick dragged me along to do a lot of the challenges week after week. As somebody who doesn't build mocks really ever, he wanted to do the challenges alongside me because we were, trying to strut our stuff for the show. And I found that I got a lot better as time went on. Nick was pushing me and encouraging me in a really great way. And we found some strengths and weaknesses in both of our building techniques. Nick can do some incredible things in just a short amount of time, but he can't do every single little thing perfectly. And working together as two team members from two entirely different countries, we did our very best that we could to meet the challenges. And we've been pretty successful so far. So we're actually going to be doing whatever the finale challenge is tomorrow on his Twitch channel at 10 a.m. So I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm assuming it's going to be the ultimate test and maybe a little competition, a work together situation for me and Nick. We don't quite know yet, but it's going to be a good challenge and a good time regardless.
It's been fun seeing you guys do those challenges. You guys even have a super limited parts palette that you have to work with. So what's been your favorite week so far to try to recreate?
I really like whenever Nick and I are building together, doing complementary items. And one of my favorites has been when we did the wearables challenge, where I made these undersea goggles that had like a crab and a treasure chest, and I made a trident to go with it as well. So Nick built a hat that had a fish with coral and seaweed. That was a really great challenge. The wind challenge that I participated in, we actually competed against each other. I did like a storybook kind of a theme where sheep were sleeping, or rather sheep were going around as the kid was sleeping to make it look like they're counting sheep on the windmill. So that was really cool. So the challenge that I had the most difficulty with was the puppet challenge, where Nick made this incredibly beautiful big bad wolf that I said in the beginning, he should be the one to do it because I trusted him to take that on. And then I made a very South Park looking Little Red Riding Hood that had no articulation. And I don't know if it's because I didn't have the dunks, not enough sleep, but I couldn't wrap my head around it. But Nick doing such an incredible job with the wolf compensated for my Kenny looking Little Red Riding Hood.
Like Mark and Steven were saying earlier, not all challenges are going to be the best. Some things you're going to struggle with, and it sounds like maybe that was the one for you.
Absolutely.
So now we've got Chris actually from Atlanta Brick Co. who has put on this whole event here. So I'm going to bring him in here in a second whenever he's ready. You want to come on in here? Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. So why don't you introduce yourself real quick to people out there, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's going on.
Cool. My name's Chris Cott. I own Atlanta Brick Co. And we advertise as one of the world's largest building brick toy stores. We're located here in Noonan, Georgia. And Mark Erickson just happens to live down the street. And so he works for us. Yeah. And so we put this party on for Mark and his brother, Steven. And we wish them the best of luck.
Awesome. And that's something I wanted to ask you more about, was kind of your connection with Mark and Steven over the years. How did you kind of first get to know them, and what have they done at the store over the years?
So they moved here from Thomaston, Georgia, probably about 5 years ago. We had been open for about 1 year back in our old building, where I think you guys did a tour of maybe 4 years ago. And Steven was the first one that came to work for me. Mark was working at another job, Home Depot or something like that. And so Steven came to work for me for a couple of years. He used to do like school clubs with the kids. He was our master builder. And then he would work the store. And so then about the time that Steven went to welding school, Mark was in a career change and came to work for us at the time while he was going to college. And after he graduated college, we were able to keep him on as our master builder. And he does graphics design for us. So T-shirts, posters, stuff like that.
So obviously you have, a close connection here, living so close to Mark and Steven. So what's your experience been like then, kind of watching them on the show each week? And how did that get us to this whole event today?
It's really surreal, especially being Mark's boss. It's like, I used to, tell him what to do. And now it's like, well, hey, if you want to do that, now that you're a big star. And
oh, no, is it getting to his head?
It's not at all. No, it really isn't. No, he's great about it. He hasn't changed a bit. He'll be working in the back. He and I both have desks in our back room at the store, and we call it our processing room. Used to be our party room, but we had to transform it. So people will come and ask all the time, hey, is Mark here? Can I talk to him? And Mark just comes right on out and shakes hands, gets pictures, and he loves it, and it's like, from my perspective, I used to be like, I'm paying you to work, Now it's like, no, go talk to people.
Now his job is just to stand there and sign autographs.
Yeah. And, I don't know if he likes doing it or not, but you wouldn't know it if he doesn't. He's a great guy. So
that's awesome. People can come into the store, which already is an incredible experience. A lot of viewers might have seen our recent tour we did a little while back at Atlanta Brick Co. We'll actually be recording another one while we're down here for this trip, so you can look forward to that as well. But the store is amazing, but then the fact that they get to interact with Mark as well, I'm sure just makes customers very happy.
It's a great experience. We're getting people in the store from all over the world. So we're on the way to Orlando if you're driving. So people stop in on the way to Orlando. We are 30 minutes south of the Atlanta airport. So people are coming from all over the world. And a lot of people are watching Lego Masters and they don't even know that Mark works at the store. And they'll be talking about it. And we're like, well, did you know that Mark works here? And they're like, no, Mark who? Mark from Lego Masters? No. And here they're in town from, I don't know, Indianapolis. And they get to go to this big Lego store, which is why they came out of their way. But then while they're there, they get to meet Lego Star. That's awesome. What a cool experience they get.
How much were you pushing Mark and Steven to give a shout out to Atlanta Brick Co. on the show? Was that just like, I imagine, just really hard? How much money was there?
We did not push them at all. We had the opportunity, since it was filmed in Atlanta, and anything they needed last minute, we were able to get Lego pieces to the show. But we knew that Mark and Steven wouldn't be able to say anything, and we let them borrow a building one time for one of the opening credits scenes, and I put a Atlanta Brick Co. billboard on top of the building. And
just subtle.
Guess what they took off? They took it off, but it was a good try.
So it's been great that you can follow along each week. And then tell me about this whole event that we have going on here. When did you start planning this? How did you decide, hey, we want to do something big for the finale?
Well, we've been talking about it for a long time, but we didn't know if Mark would make it to the finale or not. So it was like we had this big idea in our heads, and then we had the church secured for one of our employees goes to church here, and this is a beautiful church. It's very big, capacity for about 500 people, but we kind of thought about how many people we could get here that are employees, their family, all of Mark's and Steven's family and friends, and then customers of our store that we know are watching the show and have an interest and have a friendship with Mark from coming to the store all the time. So we thought about maybe 200 people. So we always kept it on a back burner. And then once Mark got to the finals, we were like, all right, let's book it. Let's start planning. And well, just last week, we were a little concerned that we wouldn't have anybody here. and then it just, the guest list blew up. So it worked out great.
That's fantastic. And it certainly seems like everyone's having a great time. We just walked around a few minutes ago and tried to show kind of some of what you guys have on display and some of what people are participating in. But what are some of the highlights for you as you walk around here and see people interacting with each other?
We've got Brawlhalla and we've got Mario Kart going on in the main auditorium. That's for a lot of our guys. Brawlhalla is one of Mark and Steven's favorite video games. The guys that work at the store always get together and play Brawlhalla and stuff like that on game days. So we have that going on. We already had the TVs because we bought the TV so we could all watch Lego Masters together at our store. So we get together every Tuesday and watch that. We'll miss that. We have photo booths set up with a lot of props that we have from our store. So we brought all these oversized Lego bricks that we have everywhere, all over the tables. And then we have lots of really cool customers. Like one of our customers is here, and he's got a bag of 200 Lego mystery minifigures, and he's letting people go in and choose blindly from the bag, and everybody's walking around with Lego minifigures. It's just great. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I think there's even like a mosaic wall over there, so you even got some like hands-on building activities as well for people.
Yes, we got the Lego mosaic wall, and we also have a Lego Masters Museum where Mark and Steven, when they got back from the show, they wanted to recreate some of the things they built on the show. And I'm guessing they were like, oh, I only had 11 hours to build this world serpent on the show. I want to do a better job and to build it how I would have built it had I not been limited with time. So Mark's got his world serpent on display. We've got the little gnomes on display, lots of like props, replicas from the show in like a little Lego Masters museum. And that's really cool to see.
Yeah, anything that is from the show is always super cool. So that's always really neat. You can have that on display here, but it's a great time. So thank you so much for all the effort that you and I'm sure many other people kind of at Atlanta Brick Cone behind the scenes put on to make all this happen.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys for coming here. I just saw my business partner, Ed, the guy you did the first tour with. So do you want to talk to him for a minute? He loves the camera. He loves talking.
Okay, we'll do it for him. We got to get you on camera here. So, yes, that's right.
Oh, am I? Oh, you're looking all right.
Okay, that's just all right now that you're live.
Yeah.
By the way, this started at 6:00, and I don't know what time it is now. It's 6:52. Ed just pulled up.
6:45.
Fashionably late as always.
Got a good parking spot though.
So what has your experience been like watching Lego Masters? What are some of your favorite challenges?
It was a little bit harrowing. I was last episode. I was just on the edge of my seat. But right now it's down to 3 really good builders. And like Steven said, and he was right on spot. It's like rock, paper, scissors because they all have their own separate strengths, and it's anybody's game.
It's really like an any given Sunday type thing. Like last week was the castle build where Mark and Steven are great castle builders, but Caleb and Jacob could pull anything off. I feel like with them, they're the wild card in that they could have a really good show. They've been steady Eddie this whole time. And then Zach and Wayne too. I mean, their technical building is unsurpassed. So they could do something tonight that's this massive technical feat that just blows everybody else out of the water. So it's a good season competition-wise.
As long as they don't do anything electronic, it'll fly off the table. Otherwise, they're good. They're good.
What do you think of the fact that all the final teams are brothers and how that plays out?
I think it's cool. A little ironic the way it turned out, but I think it's really cool. They all really good builders, and they're all brothers. I mean, they probably all sat and built together. So that's good. Yeah. I think
it makes for a super fun dynamic as you're watching the show and knowing that, they grew up building together and just the level of kind of communication that they can have then.
Yeah, I'm a brother. I have 2 brothers very close in age to me. You're a brother. You have 2 brothers very close in age to you. We've got a mind link going on. Like, I'm terrible at basketball, but if I'm playing basketball with my brother, I can just do behind the back stuff, and it's wonderful. So I think that has a lot to do with them being a more competitive team, having that mind link going on. So
awesome, guys. Well, thank you both for stopping by. Great to see you again. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work. I'll chat with you guys later then. So yes, thank you, Brian. We'll check back in now. Any more questions from viewers as we've talked about kind of more about the event and what's going on here?
A lot of people are just still excited for the event and everything happening tonight. So what would you most expect to happen tonight? Are you looking for maybe something to be destroyed a little bit? Like, are you expecting any blunders, or do you think that these groups of guys are on their A game for the finale?
I'm not expecting any blunders. I think at this point in the finale, I don't think they would risk it that much. Now, I'd like to be proven wrong. That could happen, but my bet is that they play it a little safer because they know what's on the line and they don't want something catastrophic to happen that just completely eliminates them from the competition. So I imagine we'll see certainly some incredible builds. It'll be really amazing to see what direction each of these teams goes in, because they have, so much creative freedom, I think, with the challenge that'll be coming up here tonight. But I think they'll probably play it safer. That maybe that's just more the strategy that I would take. But you don't want something catastrophic happening, and then you're eliminated from the competition without any chance.
Right. No, yep. Okay, that makes sense. We're getting some live feedback from the audience here. Is there any chance that we can get the king of the Waffle House, the one and only Fazoom, Chris Giddens? Is he there? Can he make an appearance?
We'll send out producer John. Well, I was hoping we could get Chris on at some point. So, John, are you able to go try and track him down? Yes. So we've got the best in the business on the case here. We're going to see if we can get the legendary Chris Giddens over here.
This chat is getting out of control. I've banned several people already. They're demanding it. And just to get some perspective from somebody, who's actually designed a Lego set before. So he knows what it takes to make something that functions well. So we got to have the perspective of the Waffle House king himself.
Yes. Now becoming famous YouTuber, Chris Giddens, as well. So he's really expanding into these different areas. So I think his analysis would really be great as well. And I don't know if you can hear, if it's picking up at all, but behind me, they've got, I think it's a saxophone player. And then in the other room, there's a keyboard player. They're playing like the Ninjago theme song and some other songs as well, just to get people even more hyped up here. Because we're not that far away now. Just about an hour out from the start of the show.
Yeah, and no, the only thing that we can hear is a sound of your very professional radio level voice radiating through. So it's working out well.
That's good. I'm glad this mic is working so well. So I saw John back there somewhere. I know he's frantically searching for Fazoom. He's coming. He gave me the thumbs up. Okay, here we go. I see him walking up now in the space shirt. Classic, exactly like you would expect.
He's not walking. He's gallivanting. He's got something to strut.
Do you want to come in and share some thoughts? Feel free. Come on in. Okay. Before we have some other special guests before we get to Chris. So yeah, you can stand right here. Why don't you two introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm Mark and Steven's older sister.
And I'm Julia's husband, Leonard.
Yes.
Now, as their sister, how stressful has watching each episode been for you?
Gosh, it's been crazy. You grow up with these young men and you see them suddenly on TV, in the news, on social media, being posted everywhere. So it's just wild, of an experience. It's a thrill ride, roller coaster emotions. When they're doing great on the show, it's like, woo, the best thrill ever. And when they're like, in the bottom two for ones, it's like, oh my gosh. So hold on to your hat.
Did you have any hints as to what to expect each week, or did Mark and Steven really keep it a secret?
I really can't reveal what I knew.
I was always excited about them. They were like, okay, they're going to win. I know it. They're going to win. But
you could tell based on her reaction.
I was super confident in their talents and their abilities going in, even in the beginning of the interviewing stage to get on the show. So I was always like, oh man, this is in the bag for them. But
what was communication like with them while they were filming? Were you able to stay in touch very much at all?
Hardly at all. We got a few texts and they would try to call us at the end of every day, but they would get back to their hotel suite very late at night. And then they would have to leave really early in the morning. So the schedule was hectic and we didn't really have a lot of contact with them, but we were definitely praying for them and cheering them on.
Yeah, I think it was definitely really hard and tough on them, but they were able to pull through it and give their best in all the episodes so far. And we are so pumped that they're on finale. I know him as Mark and Steven, but for some people, they are like celebrities and all. I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
You can't walk around with them in public without getting swamped.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, we know you from somewhere. I'm like, oh, yeah, we know.
Can't take them anywhere.
I guess there was also that close kind of geographic connection because it was filmed not far from here. So the whole thing kind of took place in your backyard almost.
It did. It was only an hour away. So my mom and I were able to go up and drop off food to them. And we even gave them a toaster oven to put in their hotel suite so they could cook. So yeah, it was great being their support staff behind the scenes. Yeah.
So when they finally got home from filming, then what was that experience like? Did they need a lot of relaxation then, or what were they like?
they totally crashed for like 2 days straight. I think Steven actually took a little extra time off work to just be like, oh, to get over it, because it was physically grueling. It was demanding of them. They were troopers. But actually, they got back right in time for my birthday. So we ended up having a party afterwards and getting together and celebrating, be like, you guys made it back. It was really fun.
It was always fun to actually watch all the episodes with them live and just get to know about behind the scenes and what they did and how they were feeling at the moment and what would they do. It was different and all this stuff. So it's always was a different experience for us, with Mark and Steven just being with us. So it was really cool.
Now, do you two build yourselves at all? Do they stand there and critique you, kind of give you tips? What's that like?
Well, okay, so I built Legos with Mark and Steven up until the time I was about maybe 11. And at that time, I started building crazy rainbow houses. And they were like, wait, no. This is not allowed. You have to build in one color if you're building a house. And I was like, no, but we don't have enough bricks to make it big enough. So we had a parting of the ways of the minds. So I kind of started going off and making jewelry and doing other creative things and entrepreneurial stuff. And they did Legos and Warp by duct tape and Legos and all their jazz. So
for me, it was Duplos, and then it became expensive, and I was like, okay, it's not my thing, And I'm from India, so it became more and more expensive afterwards, and I dropped it. I wish I played more, but yeah.
Well, you've got some professionals that'll really show you how.
Yeah, I was like, if you have to play Legos, play like them, be creative and build this giant castles or giant stuff that they're building right now. It's amazing, yeah. Blows my mind.
Well, thank you so much for both of you for stopping by and giving us kind of the inside scoop into all the viewers out there for what that connection was like while they were filming. So I can't wait to see how this all plays out here, and I'm sure you're very excited as well. Thank you.
We are very, very excited.
Go Mark and Steven.
Have a great evening. So that was great. You got kind of the inside family track there. And now, who's this behind me with the space shirt? What's going on? Great to see you.
It's good to see you, man. How are y'all?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. This is such a fun time here. So you live not too far from here in Georgia, right? So this is kind of a little bit local.
Well, we had to go through Atlanta, so it took a little bit longer to get here. But yeah, not too far.
Awesome. So have you been watching every week of the show? Have you been able to keep up with it?
Yeah. I mean, these guys have been my ride or die, the pick from the beginning. So I'm glad, it doesn't make me look bad there in the finale. So excited to be here. Yeah.
Now, obviously, you're known as a space builder. Mark and Steven do a lot of the castle builds, but how long have you known them? What's your interaction been like with them over the years?
I've known them for a while because I can remember looking up their LARP stuff they used to do with the cardboard and the duct tape and stuff, and I'm like, these guys are pretty cool. And then we started going to Brick Fest together in Atlanta. And got to in Alabama and got to know them, and so just kind of hanging out with them, and then seeing them in the stores and just interacting online. So yeah, for a long time. Yeah, seems like.
I know the viewers right out there watching right now. We're very excited that we could hear from you. So what do you want to share with all of them out there? What are your thoughts on what we're going to see tonight?
Well, I think these guys are going to do it, man. I really do, and I think they're going to wow us because I don't think they've been able to really just let it fly, let it go. And so I think with this, it's like that episode of Superman when he finally gets to let go and, beat the tar out of somebody. I think these guys are going to let go and beat the tar out of these guys. Now, I like everybody in the competition. This has been a great season, but I think these guys have got it. I really do.
Yes, that's certainly what we're hoping to see tonight here, and that we can celebrate them at the end of the night. Now, you are known as the Space Builder, so as you were watching Lego Masters, what would be your kind of ideal challenge there? I imagine something space related. Is there a challenge you have in mind if you were brought onto the show?
Well, now we watched other seasons because Dana and I actually tried out a little bit. So we started looking, and they didn't do it this season, but in another, like in Australia, I believe, they had a build your own Star Wars ship. So it's basically create your own from scratch spaceship. And I'm like, dude, let's do that. I want to do that so bad. But they didn't do it for this, but it was really cool. That would be amazing. So
before I let you go here, Brian, any thoughts from you or the viewers out here for Chris? Any questions?
The chat is electric, Joshua. Doc Sampson has just screamed in pleasure.
Great. Brian, you need to have some grits. You should be here. Waffle House is not far. I passed 17 on the way here, so we could take you to Waffle House. That would be no problem. No problem at
I told them a little bit earlier that you guys couldn't afford my day rate there at Beyond the Brick, but that's fine. We can figure it out.
He called you the Waffle House King earlier.
Oh, yeah, I am. I mean, they know me there by name. So, yeah. Anyway,
So,
Saviano needs to understand what grits are all about. So he doesn't get it.
What were you saying, Brian?
Yeah, a question that I more so have that I would like to see Fazoom answer. So you both have some pretty incredible beards. I would like for Chris to rate your beard out of 10.
So this is a very Lego related question. Brian says, since we both now have some pretty incredible beards that we've worked on, he wants you to rate mine on a scale from 1 to 10.
This is a high quality beard right here. The building technique is very good. It's very sturdy. It looks like it would hold up in a wind challenge or anything out there. So this is a fine beard. I actually trimmed mine back today just to magnify this beard today because I knew I was going to meet it, and I'm excited about it. So yeah.
I appreciate that. I need everything I can get. So I'm glad you helped me shine.
Yeah. Anything I can do, man. Anything I can do.
Well, this has been great, Chris. So great to see you out here at this event, and can't wait to see how the rest of the evening goes. I'm sure we'll chat later. Have a great evening.
Right. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you for the questions and everything. We actually have another special member closely related to Mark and Steven here that we're going to bring onto the show now. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
I'm Gloria Erickson. I am Mark and Steven's mom. If it weren't for me, we won't go there. Okay.
So we got the sisters' perspective earlier. Let's get your perspective on the stress levels, as each episode is unfolded here. What's that been like?
It's been very exciting. I'm telling you, just the whole interview process, the whole filming process, that was intense. But as each one goes up and up and up, just going, yeah, they're still on. This is awesome. And they even have a hard time watching. They kind of go, oh, I'm stressed just watching this. I don't know if I can watch this. They kind of relive all that tension and all the effort they put into the build. So, yeah, it's been very exciting. We have been waiting for this day for a long time. And we're like, yes, it's finally here. We're so excited to be rooting for them today.
Did you ever imagine as they were growing up, building with Lego, doing different projects that they worked on, that they would take it to this level? Obviously they started going to conventions. How old were they when they first started doing that?
They were in their early teens, 14, 15, 16. That's when they got on the online community. We went to Brick Fair, Alabama for the first time, and that was amazing. But yeah, they were very young. I had no clue they would ever be doing something because there wasn't a TV show back then. We didn't even know there was something like this. And to see them be on season 2 and get so far is just amazing. We're so proud of them. No, it was not in our minds at all.
Were you trying to send them sort of encouraging messages, make sure their mom knew they were thinking about them throughout the filming process, trying to kind of boost the morale as much as possible? Because when I talked to them earlier, they talked about, how stressful it could get. Some of the challenges were very difficult. They struggled with some of those, as we've seen play out on the show. So were you doing your best to send that kind of support to them?
Actually, yes, very much. They were within driving range. So I was able to drive up on the weekends to replenish all their snacks and food and be like, hi, guys, I'd see them for 3 seconds and run out the door. And they would call me often and say, okay, Mom, this is a really tough one. And judging tomorrow, I don't know. You got it, guys. It's okay. You're doing a great job. So, yeah, I was like on the back end with the phone calls and dropping off the food. So it was amazing. I love being their support system.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And as their mom, obviously, you know them very well. So when they first got accepted to be on the show, what was your thought in terms of how they would handle kind of being on TV, handle the stress of the challenges? I'm sure the viewers want to know, which one of them do you think would handle it better?
Well, they both were very stressed about it, honestly. But Mark is just a little bit more, they're both confident in front of the TV. I could see Steven being a little more stressed and showing it a little bit more than Mark. He's the more sensitive one, basically, of the two. And Mark's just more like, I'm going to crush them, and Steven's like, no, we're going to do a good job, but we don't want to hurt anybody, So, I just wasn't really sure, but, I knew they were going to be presenting themselves well, but the stress of the long hours of building, I know they don't normally build like that. They'll build in the morning when they're fresh, But then to build for hours straight on, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I hope they can hang in there and the stamina will keep up because it was challenging.
Mark knows what the viewers want.
Yes, he does. He's willing to just play to the crowd, no problem. And he's just like, I'm going in there and I'm going to be super confident. I mean, they were really good. They are really good builders. So I figured they would go pretty far, but they were just kind of like being a little good. Mark was the cocky one and Steven's like, oh, he's the nice guy. So that's kind of how it all played out there.
So with this fantastic event that we have going on tonight, were you able to invite other friends and family here to kind of experience it all together?
I did. My sister and her husband drove all the way down from Michigan and to come and see it because they were like, if there's a finale party, we want to be there. And it was like, okay, wait, well, we're not. Oh, they're still on. Oh, yay, we're having a party. So they hurried on down Sunday. And so it's great to have them here supporting us. Yeah, it's awesome.
We thought our drive from Indiana was intense, but that's even more impressive.
A little farther. Yep, they're up there by Grand Rapids, so it's a little farther. Yep. Yeah.
It's great, though, that you could gather so many people together here for this event. And I know the clock's running down quickly here to the end of our stream before we get ready to go in and gather up to lead up to the start of the finale. So how excited are you for this? What are you feeling right now?
So excited. Today, the whole day, has just been a high intensity anxiety. It's going to be awesome to see them on there. I don't know how they're going to edit it. That'll be very interesting, but just rooting for them all the way. Super excited.
Well, thank you for stopping by and chatting with us. And thank you so much for all the incredible work you did helping build the creativity of Mark and Steven as they were young and getting them to where they are today. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was an honor to be able to raise them, homeschool them, and just be there and say, let's be creative, So that just really sparked all that and just gave them the avenue to let the creativity and imagination flow that they were born with. So yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
Well, have a great evening. Yep. So producer John, how much more time do we have here? Are we okay? 15 more minutes here. So Brian, what are the people saying as we count down here, getting closer and closer to the start of the finale?
People were very complimentary toward the Erickson mom, just the hospitality and the love of Lego that she has, and so encouraging for her two boys. So they are absolutely loving that. And they're really, really rooting for Team Erickson. Their momentum throughout the entire competition was very apparent, and they are a solid team to root for. So, we're just as excited over here in the North Shore of Boston, Massachusetts, and beyond. So, it's looking like it's getting right down to it. I'm very excited.
That's right. And so we've had now various family members join us on the stream. There's been a lot of talk about family, which makes me think about the fact that there are 3 sets of brothers on the finale, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Out of all the teams that we started with, it's all the brothers that are left. So how do you think, Brian, from your perspective, as you've watched each week, how does that kind of affect their building? How does that play out on the show, even in the way that they communicate with among each other and then communicate their ideas to the people watching?
So I've noticed when interviewing like other Lego masters that are related to each other, it's either a situation where it really comes more to a head because you're taking that stress of, well, they picked on me in middle school, and that translates into, being on Lego Masters. Or what happens more commonly is that the family members are on just another level of thinking because they kind of know each other actually a lot more than some of the other challengers would. So in a way, it kind of gives them an advantage if they already have that solid relationship from before. And clearly you're seeing a pair of twins be on the show. You're seeing brothers. So that connection has clearly led them a lot further in this competition than you might have thought from the get-go. But, we've seen father and son teams before, and that's only strengthened the love that they have for each other throughout the competition. So it's really intense to see these 3 sets of brothers that are competing against each other, having this heightened sense of self with each other, amping up the builds all along the way. Being in that level of synchronization really helps when you're in situations and high stress like that. They just know to work off each other in a different way than other competitors. So that makes it that much more interesting going into the finale. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like this in competitions from here on out, but it makes it for an especially special finale for Lego Masters.
Right. No, I can speak from experience working with my brother John, obviously on Beyond the Brick for so many years. You definitely have that connection that helps as you're working through things, especially if it's something stressful. I think it really helps to have that connection as well. So I think it's been really fun to see that dynamic. And now, speaking of John, he's trying to get my attention here. I think we've got some other people that want to come in and join us. So why don't we get some more guests in here before he wraps up? So we got a whole crowd coming in. We'll go. So more and more people joining. Come on in. Feel free. So who are all these people?
So we were allowed to bring just a couple people to the event. So I was like, okay, who can I invite? So I invited Tracy, her husband Colton, Holly, Adam, and Florence. These are all really good friends of ours. Tracy and Holly were actually my bridesmaids when we got married. So when we had this event coming up, we were like, all right, we got to bring some of our favorite people here. So they're here to celebrate with us.
I'm assuming you've all been watching the show every week. What has that been like?
Yes, that has been a little weird just knowing Mark and Steven and seeing like, wait a second, they're on TV and I know them and they're now famous, which is funny because they're the same old Mark and Steven, the same that you see on TV. It's the same people you see like face to face and interacting and just one-on-one. Yes, they are very genuine.
As you were all watching the show, what are some of the challenges that you looked at and thought that would be extremely difficult, something that you would not want to tackle?
Probably the hanging wall one from the most recent episode where it was just like, here's these little pegs, build this massive castle off of it. I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to start to try to build that one. But all the builds just look amazing and like out of my wheelhouse completely. So like every one of them, kudos to them two guys for doing such an amazing job.
I love the explosion. That was my favorite by far. I really love that one. Yeah.
Anything that explodes with Lego is always exciting. Dropping builds, anything.
The bigger, the better. Yeah. The big.
What were some of the most surprising builds that Mark and Steven did as you were watching each episode? Anything that you were like, oh, I never expected them to do that?
I have no idea what's happening right now.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you can make it out to the event then, at least, because you'll be blown away tonight by what everyone is doing.
That makes two of us.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
What was that, Brian?
I said that makes two of us. I have no idea what's going on.
Okay, yes. Brian, my co-host, also is completely clueless right now, so you're not alone. Have you been able to watch the show?
The Hanging Gnome Garden, I really like that one. That was pretty cool. Seeing what they come up with, a brick hanging from the ceiling.
That's something very unexpected because it's not the typical type of build that you're used to seeing from Lego.
Very much.
Yeah, well, very, very great. I'm glad you could bring so many people out to the event. That's what makes this all so fun here for everyone watching. Being able to gather all these people together and watch all at once, experience the whatever we're about to experience on this finale episode. I'm sure it'll be exciting. So thank you once again for stopping by. Have a great night. You're gonna love the show. Enjoy. Thank you. Yes, we'll be waiting for that. Okay, so while this is the finale episode, for some people maybe it's their first time experiencing Lego Masters, which can also be exciting, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually just about to bring my bridesmaids on, but I think we're cutting short on time here, so I'm sure we're gonna wrap up in a few minutes here.
Unfortunately, we just don't have quite enough time for that. So, John, producer John, do you think it's about time that we wrap up for the night here? Why don't you come in front of the camera real quick, and before we sign off, we're going to get producer John's thoughts on everything here. So the man behind the scenes who keeps everything going, how's it been going for you so far?
It's been going great. A flawless live stream, as everyone would know from watching. This has just been going perfectly. So we're really excited to be here, and we're about to watch the finale episode now.
Do you have any expectations for what we're about to see tonight?
No expectations at all. Completely blank slate. So you can't be disappointed that way.
That's right. There you go. Well, thank you, John, for all your work behind the scenes, keeping all this going. Thank you, Brian, so much for joining me and helping to feed all the questions from chat, share your thoughts on Lego Masters. I'm sure it'll be exciting. I know you'll be watching along with lots of the viewers here tonight, and it should be a really great time. Any final thoughts here, Brian?
No, I loved hearing the perspectives from all the people tonight. You got Mark and Steven's mom, an entire bridal party. You had, John, which, it's great. And especially for Zoom, we had the Waffle House King, the Jeff Bezos of the Lego community, the bridesmaid. It's a star-studded event over there where you're at. So I'm very jealous I'm not there, but we're going to hold it down over here in the North Shore.
Yes, yes. You've done a great job from the Boston studio. So thank you so much for all of your work, Brian. Thank you, everyone, for watching, who took the time to interact, share questions, share thoughts as we were live here. Have a wonderful time watching the finale from wherever you are around the country tonight. And we will see you all soon after we've found out who's the newest Lego Masters. Thank you, everyone. That's all for us. Have a great evening.